Are you ready to shatter ceilings, to redefine what's possible in your life and business? Then welcome to the Beyond Woman Podcast, where we dive deep into the heart of empowerment, the art of crafting a lifestyle business that truly serves you, and the tools to unlock your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Jacqueline Walker Johnson, and here we celebrate the women who are rewriting the rules, the visionaries carving their own paths, and the experts who are sharing their hard-won wisdom to guide us all. Join us for intimate conversations with women who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. Women who have the expertise and the sheer grit to empower you to step into your limitless potential. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and transformed. This is the Beyond Woman Podcast. Let's begin. Carla Williams Johnson, also known as the CEO's publicist, is an internationally acclaimed, award-winning publicist based in Trinidad and Tobago. Her company, Carla Communications, seeks to enhance the lives of brand owners by giving them the support they need to build global businesses that get them seen, heard, and paid. A mother of two, Carla has been featured in numerous publications around the world, including Forbes, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, and she has inspired others by sharing her story in places such as China, Australia, New Zealand, the United States, and across the Caribbean. So welcome to another episode of the Beyond Woman Conversations podcast, where we go beyond the surface to unpack the stories, struggles, and strength of Caribbean women on the rise. Today, I want to start with a powerful truth. According to a Deloitte study, 61% of women say they feel they need to consistently fit in at work or in business in order to be successful. Today, we're diving into a topic many of us shy away from, not because it's not real, but because it forces us to face ourselves. We live in a world that tells us to be confident, bold, unapologetically ourselves, but often in the next breath, it also tells us who that self should be. And let's be honest, sometimes the changes we know we need to make go against the image others have of us or even the identity we have clung to for years. What happens when we start to feel misaligned, not just in business, but in spirit, in our habits, in our values? What if the version of us that we have been pushing forward can't go where we're truly meant to go? So yes, from the outside, that change might look like you're giving in, trying to fit in, trying to be palatable. But what if, and stay with me, what if that change is actually the boldest move of self-love you've ever made? What if your reinvention isn't about rejection, but reclamation? That's what we're talking about today. And today I'm joined by none other than Carla Williams Johnson, a communications expert, PR powerhouse, and Caribbean woman who reached a point where she knew it's time to do things differently. In this episode, Carla walks us through the moments, the mindset, and the misalignments that pushed her to restructure her business and ultimately redefine herself. But here's the thing. She didn't change to chase trends. She didn't pivot to people please. She realigned because something deeper called her to it. This is a story of growth. It's a story of grit, of graceful reinvention, and of what happens when a woman stops editing herself for the world and starts evolving for herself. So if you have ever felt the pressure to shrink or questioned whether reinvention means you have sold out, I want you to hear this. Reinvention, when it's done right, isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally becoming you. So let's get into it. So welcome, Carla. As always, we are happy to have your bubbly presence with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And also thank you for wanting to willingly share your story. I know we talked about this behind the scenes, and then it struck a little chord within me, and I felt like there were women out there who needed to hear what you went through, why you went through it, and what has happened since you have done this reinvention your way, of course. So before we even jump in, I saw something. I'm sure I saw a magazine cover with you on the front quite recently.
Yes.
I want you to, and that is a magazine in Trinidad. I'm not remembering the name immediately, but
It's actually in Barbados. It's
okay.
Easy Magazine in Barbados.
Okay. Tell us about that. What was the
Um,
cover all about? What, was it a part of this whole process that we're going to talk about today?
that's a good question. So I decided a couple months ago that enough was enough. I don't know if it's, being in your 40s. They say when you're in your 40s, wisdom, the body goes, but the mind, the mind excels. And I just decided, you know what, it was time for a change. And I mentally made that decision. And what I find is when you start to mentally make decisions, things just start to align around you to validate the decision that you've made. And that cover was a validation. I had no idea. I was simply at home minding my business as I usually do. And I got the phone call from Nation News saying, hey, we want to feature you. And it actually came just before my birthday, actually. And I was like, well, universe, thank you for this birthday gift. And thank you for the validation that the decision that I had made was a right decision. I had just done a photo shoot. I hadn't even started using the pictures as yet, because I was still trying to figure things out, strategize. And I said, you know what, let me take the opportunity. And funny story, the picture that they used on the cover was a picture that we almost didn't get because in the photo shoot, we had run out of time. And the photographer said, let me just take this last picture of you as we're leaving. So if you look at the picture, I'm actually outside. I'm not in the office. I'm outside. He said, let me just take this picture of you really quick because I love how the natural light is hitting your face and how you look and everything. And I posed for that picture. That was the last picture we took. It wasn't even supposed to be a picture. And that is the picture that happened to be on the cover. So not only did it validate my decision to change, it also showed me that the universe is on my side because out of all the pictures that they could have used, they used the one that I almost didn't take. And it also reminds me, you always have to do things. You always have to put yourself out there. You always have to take the chance, take the risk, right? Because you never know how what you're doing today is going to pay off tomorrow or 10 years from now. So I absolutely love that picture. I've gotten so many compliments from it. And it really is a reminder to me that the decisions that we make today, once you've decided, the universe will conspire to make sure that you stay on track.
I mean, a lot of things jumped out at me, but two things in particular, and it is the whole matter of us being proactive, and paving the way. I remember this quote from, I hope I can remember it, from Oprah when she said, I think she said success or preparation equals success.
Yes.
And so when I'm listening to you, you were already putting things in place, right, to effect this change in your life. And I mean, out of the blues, you get this cover, which is one of the confirmations that you needed to say that you're on the right track. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, this whole matter of being proactive and also the alignment piece. I absolutely love those two things. I like when things just come together seamlessly. I like when people get, as you said, the confirmation that they need, that they're on the right path. And now we jumped right in and usually ask our guests to just talk a little bit about themselves. So let us backtrack a little bit and have you just share whatever is on your heart with our listeners.
So allow me to introduce myself. I am Carla Williams Johnson. Everyone calls me Carly because my business is Carly Communication. I am based in Trinidad and Tobago, and I help Caribbean entrepreneurs get seen, heard, and paid globally. I believe that we have so much talent in the Caribbean. I have met so many wonderful, fantastic, very intelligent people who are building brands. But for whatever reason, we've been told, I don't know if it's a millennial thing, if it's a Gen X thing, but we've been told that we need to stay where we are. If we want to grow, we need to go. We need to travel. And I'm like, no, I have been building my business from my bedroom for however long. I'm not a person that likes to go out, but I do know that visibility is important. Building your brand is important. Getting people to know who you are and how you serve them is important. So my job is to help you get seen and heard so people would know who you are, and you can rival anybody international in terms of what it is that you offer as a business person. As I mentioned, there's so much talent in the Caribbean, but we're just afraid to put ourselves out there. We are kept back by our mental and our physical borders. If I, little girl from Trinidad and Tobago, could be on Forbes twice, I promise you, any business person out there can do it. You just have to make up your mind to do it. And how I do it, it's a lot of hand holding, a lot of it'll be okay, a lot of putting you in the places and spaces so that you could connect with the right people, form the right relationships, so that you can get not just money from clients and business, but also investors, sponsors. If you're an author, book sales, bestsellers lists, awards, right? My clients have gone on to do such great things international. And my goal is that each and every entrepreneur that is based in the Caribbean make those types of waves internationally.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so that is all about what you do. And I just want to jump back into what we're here to talk about. So really, today our title or our episode's title is really about redefining me and reinvention on her own terms, as in you, Carla. So I want you to share with us what were some of the things that, or the things that you were that was happening as it relates to your life, why you felt the need to do things differently.
To reinvent.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I was getting older. So age can be a wake-up call, right? Today you have more aches and pains than you did yesterday. And you realize, you could only do so much, right? I have 2 children born 18 years apart. My daughter is in her 20s, and my son, he's still in single digits, right? Don't ask why. It is what it is. You know what? They keep me sane and they keep me young, but at the same time, I need to do things different as a mother. The world is changing, things are happening. I need to set an example for my children. I need to make sure that I leave a positive legacy, actually, for my children. So it was different factors. I'm also an entrepreneur, as I mentioned before. So there are different factors that played a part in me making a decision I need to change. I need to do better. I need to be better, right? Because only in becoming better can I help others be better. Whether that others is my family, whether it's my friend, whether it's my client. The only way that I can help them elevate is if I elevate myself. So it came to a point where something needed to happen. And that something needed to happen from within. I can't change my environment without changing my inner space, my mental and my physical space. My mental and my physical internally. Right? So it all started from in the mind. And I don't know if you're listening, could relate to this. It's as if God has called you to be something bigger, something better. And you know that you're playing small. You know that God has called you for something, and you just have to answer the call, because staying stuck or staying in one place feels painful after a while. Right? When God has called you for something better, staying small is painful. And I always felt like I needed to do something bigger. I was called to do something bigger. And I had no business being small and not being able to serve my people. So I'm hoping that that resonates with somebody. I feel like when God calls you for something, you feel it, you sense it, you hear it in the stillness of the night. You need to answer that call because you're not doing yourself any justice and you're not doing your people any justice by staying small.
So let me ask you this. So it wasn't a matter of, you feeling as though you weren't succeeding as you were, but it was more a deeper call to a greater purpose. Is that what you're?
Well, success is relative, right? Success is relative. So what might be successful to me may not be successful to somebody else. But I do believe that I had a higher calling. I accomplished a lot. I'm in my 40s now. If you look at me, you may not be able to tell, but I'm in my 40s now. And I have accomplished a lot. As I said, I have 2 children. I've been in Forbes twice. I know people who have been in business for years and they have not been in Forbes once. I've built a business. I've won 11 international awards. I've done a lot. Right? And somebody might be like, oh my God, that's enough for you. You should stop. No, I have a higher calling, right? That might be okay for somebody else, but I have a higher calling. So it's not a matter of being unsuccessful or not being successful enough. I am grateful for everything that I've accomplished, but I do believe that I'm called to do more because when I am more, I can help more.
I love that. So in this whole change or this call to do greater things, was there at any point any fears that reared their ugly head? Was there any resistance to the change? Like, sometimes we're stuck in our ways, even though we know that it's time for us to step up.
Of course. Listen to me. Comfort, it's wonderful, but it is a dangerous place. You know you need to exercise, right? But the day you decide to exercise is the day that the bed feels extra comfortable, right? The day that you decide that you're going to give up sweet stuff is the day that the craving is extra powerful, right? There's always going to be something to try to keep you where you are. Because, who wants to feel uncomfortable? But yeah, the fear was there, but you have to push through the fear. If you want to be great, you can't be comfortable. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where the saying comes from. So you have to make up your mind you want to do this, you have to do it anyway. Move scared, right? Even if moving scared means you have to crawl before you walk, or you just have to make 3 steps instead of 10. The fact is that you're doing it, you're moving forward, and you're taking your time, and eventually you'll pick up momentum. So trust and believe. The heart is always racing. The tears are always welling up. It happens. It happens, and it is normal. But you have to do it anyway. I know I have to do it anyway. Because as I mentioned before, if God is calling you for something greater, if you stay where you are, it is literally a painful experience. And that pain is not something that I want to experience again, because I've experienced before. And it's a pain that I don't want others to experience, because it really could do a number on you.
I'm always saying that, and when you don't answer to the call or the greater call, it's you doing an injustice to yourself and to others who are looking to you for whatever it is that you are to do for them.
Exactly.
And so it is really imperative for us to answer. And for us.
And I also like to think about, what about the other people if they didn't answer the call? Where would they be? People like Oprah, as you mentioned. Where would she have been? She had such a tumultuous childhood upbringing. Where would she have been if she didn't answer the call? Where would Michael Jackson be if he didn't answer the call? Like, where would these so-called famous people or influential people be if they didn't answer the call? And why can't I see myself as an influential person by answering the call? Because when you answer the call is not just for you. It's for all the lives that you're going to touch. The listeners to this podcast, I'm sure there's someone listening shaking their head right now that, yes, this sounds like me. If I wasn't bold and brave to stand up and say, yes, I'm going to share my story, then that person that is listening right now would not be influenced to be great themselves. So greatness is not just for you. It's for all the lives that you're going to touch while you build yourself up.
Let's talk a little bit about being courageous, because a lot of the times change requires us to be courageous. How did that play out in your journey? This matter of
I always tell people that courage comes from repeatedly doing the things that you don't want to do. That's why you cannot pray for courage. It doesn't happen like that. You don't ask the universe to send you courage. You have to repeatedly do the things that you know you don't want to do, but you have to do in order to get things done. So, you wanna lose some weight. You know what? I have to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and put in that hour of exercise. You have to do it repeatedly until it becomes second nature. For me, rebranding, building myself, it started with the mind. I have a innate fear of success. Ridiculous. I know I have an innate fear, and I know myself. And that's another thing. You have to be very self-aware. I know when I start to make progress and I start to build momentum, I shut down. I shut down because the fear of success is keeping me from continuing to build that momentum. So when I feel the symptoms, the triggers of me shutting down, I talk to myself. I repeat my affirmations. I speak to someone. I speak to my coach, my accountability partner, my business bestie, somebody that is going to say, Carla, it's okay to be successful. It's okay to keep going. Don't sabotage yourself because of fear, right? That's why community in business is so important. That's why community in your life is so important. A lot of us, we get into entrepreneurship or we get into relationships sometimes and we forget all our friends, right? We forget all the people around us. We're just focused on this one thing. But it is important to have people who have your best interest at heart around you. It's always important for people who know your value, know your worth, know what you can do to help push you through when you feel like you can't push yourself. So for me, as I said before, the tears were real and frequent. The tears were real and frequent, usually in the quiet of the night. But as I mentioned before, you have to keep pushing through. You have to be self-aware enough to know that these are my triggers and this is how I'm going to address those triggers. And you need to be focused enough to keep doing those things consistently. Even if you don't want to do it, you have to show up consistently. And therein is where courage is built and where courage continues to manifest to keep you going.
I love that. I know a lot of people might be saying easier said than done, but this is something very interesting, this whole thing about you have an innate fear of success. What is that? What does that mean really?
Isn't that weird? I don't know what it is. I have imposter syndrome. I can tell you that, which is weird too, given my personality. But I know I have a fear of success because I can tell you, if I decide that I am going to do something and I see progress happening, my mind automatically shuts down. Can you handle this? Yes, you're going to achieve your goal. It is in arm's length, but will you be able to handle that goal? So let's say my goal is to make more money in my business. Let's just say that's the goal. And I would be 3/4 of the way towards my goal. And then my brain will be like, okay, yeah, you're going to reach your goal, but can you handle it? Will you be able to handle all the things that's going to come with making all this new money? Will you be able to handle the people that are going to look at you different or treat you different or drop you as a friend because, all of a sudden they might think that you're better than them. Now, this is all in my brain, Nobody said to me that they're going to drop me as a friend because I am now better than them. And I'm using the word better in quotes, right? This is all something that I made up in my brain, people. But because I know that I'm triggered, and when these thoughts come in my head, I interject logic, just like I did there. No one said that, Carla. Where are you getting this, Carla? This is your own insecurities playing out, Carla. Keep going. And I keep going. And that's why I said you have to know yourself. You have to know your triggers. You have to know how your mind works. So you can now combat it. Some people combat it with logic. Some people combat it with music. Some people combat it with journaling. They have to journal their thoughts. Some people combat it with speaking to their coach. You need to know how to combat those thoughts in your brain for whatever is keeping you from greatness. And that goes for every part of your life, not just business. I'm talking about even in relationships. If you're having issues with your significant other, right? And there is something within you that you know that you need to change in order for this relationship to be better, but you're unwilling to change it. Why are you unwilling to change it? What is triggering you? Why can't you change yourself? Are you all having the same argument over and over? Maybe the problem is not them. Maybe the problem is you. Maybe there's something within you that you need to fix. And a lot of people don't like to hear that because it forces them to look at themselves. But I think looking at yourself is a sign of growth. It's a sign of emotional intelligence. And when you look at yourself, then you know what help to ask for, right? A lot of us, we use food as a coping mechanism when all we need is to talk to somebody that can actually help us, right? We use alcohol as a coping mechanism when all we need is to journal our thoughts. But because we don't want to look within, right, and see what the issue is with us, for us to grow, we want to put the blame on other people, and then we soothe ourselves by indulging in these things that are not good for us. My advice to you is do the hard work. Don't cop out. Do the hard work by looking inward, and then decide from looking inward, what assistance do you need? How can you help curb the triggers? How can you identify the things that are causing you to act or say or do the things that you know are not right for you? Because that's the only way you're going to grow, if you know what it is that you're dealing with.
Well, we heard it from Coach Carla. We heard it so for all of the persons who are not moving towards their goals or are listening to others, whatever it is, know what your triggers are.
Yeah.
And be willing to face the man in the mirror.
Yes.
Look inward, and once you do that, then you'll be able to grow. I love it. All right.
And one thing we need to do is stop putting our trust in people that don't deserve it as well. A lot of women do that. We have this friend, and because this friend has been our friend for so long, we go to her with all our business. Not everybody needs to know your business, one. And two, not every friend needs to know everything. You can have your friends that you can go to brunch with. You can have your friends that will have, business ideas with. The brunch friend and the business friend may not overlap, and that's okay. That's okay. We want to make the brunch friend the significant other advice friend and the business bestie friend. No, we can't do that, because that person in your life has a place and a purpose, and they can't be all things. And the reason it happens to us women is because we don't really form relationships a lot. Men form relationships real easy. They have friends for years and they don't know the friend's real name, right? I don't know how they do it, right? They just call each other these random nicknames, and they're good. But we like to invest time in our friend, and what she like, what she doesn't like, her child's birthday, her birthday, and stuff. So when you invest that time into this particular friend or this group of friends, you don't want to take the time to invest in another group of people. But I am telling you, you have to do that. You cannot talk relationship advice with everybody. right? There are certain people you cannot even mention the fact that you're seeing somebody else, not because they're going to be jealous of you, but because they can't give you the advice that you need because they're not there yet, right? And that's okay. There are some people you cannot go to business advice for because they're not an entrepreneur, so they have no idea what it is that you're dealing with on a daily basis. So any advice that they give you is going to be skewed. That's like asking advice about what alcoholic drink to buy from someone who doesn't drink alcohol. It doesn't make sense. So I feel like women, I mean, I know it's hard, again, easier said than done. We have to invest in the relationships that will fulfill us and not try to fit everybody into one mold to serve our purpose.
Yeah, that's correct. All right, so let's go a little bit deeper. You know that in the Caribbean, we grow up hearing a lot about what's acceptable, what's professional, and what's too much. How did these cultural messages impact your reinvention journey?
I was always too much. I've always been too much. I was too much since I was in school. I was always, talkative and asking questions and challenging things. I was always too much. And then as I got older, I realized that too much is not bad. It's not a bad thing. I mean, once it's in, a controlled environment, being too much is not necessarily a bad thing. But living in the Caribbean, working in the Caribbean, being a Caribbean person, growing up in the Caribbean, it is a joy. It is a joy to be a Caribbean person. And I think my Caribbean heritage really does help me where my business is concerned, because I understand what Caribbean people are dealing with on a daily basis when they put themselves out there. Things like, I don't want everybody to know who I am. I don't want to show off too much. So being from the Caribbean actually helps me, but it took me a while to embrace that. It took me a while to understand that being Caribbean is a good thing. Not that I thought it was a bad thing, but I thought it was a bad thing for business, because I grew up we're a third world country. We can't compete, right? We can't compete with the others. And that really did a number on my mind. But then I realized being a Caribbean actually helped. When I embraced my Caribbeanness, that's when people wanted to know who I was. They were interested in what it is that I do. They were curious about what island life is like, and carnival, and all of the wonderful things that we have, doubles and all of the wonderful things. So growing up Caribbean, I'm not gonna lie, it did a number on me, and I know it would have done a number on quite a few people. But growing up Caribbean actually is a good thing. It's a blessing. And it's something that we all need to embrace as Caribbean women as we build our brand globally.
I love that, because that's one of the things that we're always talking about, embracing your cultural heritage and using it, even if there's something negative, reframe the whole thing and use it in a way that can uplift and that can also push you forward and push others forward. So I can appreciate that. So we know that your reinvention of yourself had nothing to do with others, right? But was there any worry that people might think that your change was about you being insecure about yourself, or you not knowing what you're doing?
Because of my fear of success, those were thoughts. Those were thoughts that came into my mind. What if people think that, oh, she don't know what it is that she's doing, and now she's changing everything? But then I realized, one, these are my thoughts playing a trick on me. But two, there is nothing wrong with becoming a better version of yourself. I can't be in my 40s and still acting like if I'm in my 20s. I have grown, I've matured, I've learned, right? I'm different. I know things now that I didn't know back then, right? I've been exposed to the people and the world and how things work and the the personalities of the different people that I have to interact with on a daily basis. So reinvention is not necessarily you abandoning your past and being somebody different. It is becoming a better version of who you already are, given your life experiences, given the things that you've gone through, given the things that you know now. So to answer your question, because my mind plays tricks on me, I did have a couple thoughts that I wouldn't be seen as I wouldn't be seen as I was, but then I realized that that's okay. I'm different now. And being different and being a better version of myself could never be a bad thing.
Yeah, yeah. So after all of the shifts and all of the changes, the reinvention, what have you gained, not just in business, but also personally, maybe spiritually, emotionally? What has all of the shifts done for you?
I think it has made me more knowledgeable. It makes me understand how to interact with people, what I'm willing to accept versus what I'm not willing to accept, what I'm going to put up with. One thing I can tell you is if you do lose people during the reinvention, these weren't your people to begin with, and that's okay, because not everybody's meant to be with you for every stage of your life. I'm not telling you to break up with your husband or your significant. I'm not suggesting that. But what I'm saying is, as you grow, as you elevate, people will eventually fall by the wayside because they're not meant to grow with you, and you have to be okay. And the older you get is the more okay you are with it. I was not okay when I first started. And there are people that I really invested my time and energy and emotions into, relationships that I thought were solid. And within the reinvention, I realized that they were not, right? Whether it was jealousy, whether it was their own insecurities manifesting, whatever it might be, I realized that it wasn't going to work. And that it's a sad thing because you almost feel like that part of you is dying. And in a way, it probably is dying, but growth is important and it's necessary. And you can't shrink or stay small to appease people who don't even have the courtesy to be happy for you as you grow bigger. You know, the least they can do is be happy for you, and they can't even do that. They can't even fake it. So as I get older, there are certain things that I'm just not tolerating. There are certain things I'm just refuse to deal with. You see red flags faster. I have to admit that. You see those walking red flags from a mile away, and you know it's just to bend the corner because you just don't want to have to deal with it. We don't confront people, ladies. Let's not be confronting people. If you see somebody and they are walking red flag, do not walk directly into it. Walk the other direction, bend the corner. You will get to where you need to go to. Just take that negative energy out of your space. And that's another thing. I protect my peace and my energy with everything that I have now. Before, I would be worried and stressed and upset. And I mean, there's still some things that I will still think about. But for the most part, I don't let anything bother me. I don't let anything worry me. I don't let anything stress me out. I just be minding my own business, and my phone will ring and I will get the tea. I will always get the story. So I don't have to worry. I just live my life and I am happy with it. And that's what I would encourage anybody. Like, as you grow up, you know, we talk about what is glow up era and all of these types of things. As you grow up, you are going to realize that all of these things are just not important. Your peace of mind is the most important thing at the end of the day.
You know, I'm laughing because listen to me. I'm listening to you, and the 40s is the best, man. It is the best. It's like a new awakening, and that's what I call it. It is like a new awakening.
It is.
to what you'll tolerate, and that in itself is a reinvention for so you are right, you were absolutely right when you started off the conversation, and you were saying you don't know if it's because you're in your 40s or what, but it calls for a reinvention.
It does. Tell anybody, the aches and pains are there, but the mind is solid and focused. The body may not be, but the mind, once you make up your mind, say, peace of mind, I'm not dealing with this. I need to be focused. These are my goals. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. You just have to make up your mind to do it. And the universe will conspire to make sure that you get it done.
I'm pretty sure if I were to send out a survey and ask women what's the number one takeaway since you've turned 40, or what is it that is most important rather since you've turned 40, they're going to say peace of mind. But let me ask you this, Carla, what does reinvention mean to you? Or more importantly, what does it not mean?
What does reinvention look like? So reinvention is just becoming the better version of yourself. Whether that is taking care of your body, whether that is taking care of your mind, whether that is dressing yourself differently or better, right? Going from high heel shoes to sneaks because you can't be walking around in those 4 inches anymore. Those days are over.
Listen,
right?
I tell people that I guess before 45, you could never, ever catch me in a sneakers. Never. I was never a sneaker girl, but give me a sneaker today.
Thank you. Because it's different, though. It's very different. It did look like a different thing. It's the way you treat yourself, right? The things you say to yourself, whether you have children or not, but how you treat your family, the time you spend with them, the things that you want. I don't know why. It's just a mindset shift that happens with the reinvention. And that mindset shift affects everything, right? I used to tell, I was trying to explain to a younger person, when you reach a certain age, your favorite foods betray you. All of a sudden, you can't eat ice cream. You can't eat this after a certain hour. You had too much of this for the week. You already eat it already, so you can't eat it again. Your food betrays you, and they couldn't understand what I mean. It's like, just wait. So after a while, because your mind is like, this is not good for you anymore, right? So even though you might crave it, you can't eat it or you can't do it. So reinvention really starts with the mind, and everything follows after that. Every single thing.
If someone is listening to you today and she's a woman who is afraid to pivot, maybe she's been building something for years and it's not giving her the excitement that it gave her initially. That excitement and that passion for it is no longer there. It no longer fits. What would you say to this woman?
Let it go. Anything that brings you stress, frustration, trauma, unless it's your children, because, they have no choice but to give you these things. But once it no longer serves you, let it go. Let it go and make space for the thing that will. A lot of us hold on to things for comfort. We know this thing. The devil is better than the devil you don't. So you hold on to this thing and you miss your blessing because you did not create space for that blessing to present itself and fit into your life. So whether it is a relationship, whether it's a job, whether it is a project, whatever it is, let it go and let it create space for something that will serve you. It will hurt. You will feel sad. You will cry. It is inevitable, but you have to create space for the blessings to flow.
I love that. I really do. In closing, I want to just ask you a question that's probably a little bit more reflective. And it is, if you could speak to the past version of yourself, maybe you are questioning something, unsure of, the path ahead, because a lot of changes happen as you get into the 40s, as we said before. Maybe you're unsure if what you were doing before is gonna transition into this new era. If it would work, what would you say to her right now?
Okay, you're making me think. I would say don't take too long to do the things that you know you have to do. I have been, in my entire life, held on to things because I thought that made me strong. I held on to a bad marriage for far longer than I needed to because I thought that made me strong. I was holding the family together and I was, and then I realized marriage is the two of us. I can't be holding on and he on whatever beat that he's on, right? And that's just one example. And I felt like if I had let go of that earlier, I would have been happier faster. And I feel like if I had to go back, I would say to myself, stop holding on to things longer than you should. Let it go. Move on. Same thing I just said, make space for the blessing. Holding on doesn't make you stronger. It actually weakens you because you're using too much energy to try to hold on to this thing that is not yours or is no longer serving you. It actually makes you weak, right? The stronger person cuts their losses and they move on to bigger and better. So that's the advice I would give myself. Let go faster and move on.
I love it. And it's such a powerful way for us to end our conversation, Stop holding on to things longer than you have to.
Yeah.
And let go of things easily. I love it. Because when we let go, we're making room for the blessing to come. Newer blessings to come, greater blessings to come, right? Cut your losses and move on. A very powerful way to end our conversation, Carla. And I really want to thank you for sharing space with us this afternoon.
Oh.
And giving us, insight into your journey and what it looked like, what it did for you, and, just to equip our women and encourage them for them to know that reinvention can be a beautiful thing. And it can be something that allows us and opens us up actually to, as you said, to greater blessings and bigger things and better things. Maybe things that we've been waiting on because we're holding on.
Or maybe things we didn't even know that we wanted, or things we didn't even know that we needed. The universe has a way. The universe has a sense of humor. Like, we asking for one thing, but that's not the thing that we really need. The thing that we really need is over here. And when you let that thing go over here, the universe is like, well, all right, let me give you the thing that you need. You think you need $1,000, but the universe is over here waiting to give you $100,000. But you hold on to that $1,000 for dear life. Let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you again, Carla.
You're so welcome.
And that brings us to the end of another powerful episode of the Beyond Woman podcast. I hope you're leaving feeling inspired and ready to take action on your dreams. Remember, you are capable of so much more than you think. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep learning, and keep believing in your limitless potential. We want to stay connected with you, so be sure to follow us on social media at The Beyond Woman magazine for daily inspiration, behind-the-scenes content, and to join our growing community of empowered women. Don't forget to visit our website at www.thebeyondwomanmag.com and www.TheBeyondWoman.com, where you'll find even more resources and articles and also opportunities to connect. Sign up for our newsletter and be the first to know about upcoming events and exclusive content. To all my incredible Caribbean sisters out there, let's lift each other up. Share this episode with the women in your life who need to hear this message so we can continue to build this powerful network together. Enjoy this episode? Then think about leaving us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support helps us to reach more women. Thank you for being a part of the Beyond Woman movement. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep living your most extraordinary life.